Yeah. Hang on. I was almost gone. Hang on. I won't get back. Greetings, this is Zariyah from the Orion civilization. We are so pleased to join with you today to share a brief transmission on collapsing timelines into your powerful now. The reason we are delivering this information today is that we observe there is much reflection going on your planet. There is much contemplation about actions taken in the perceived past and directions that could unfold in the perceived future. We know that you gathered here today are scholars of timelines and all things esoteric and extraterrestrial. So this information will not be new to you. However, we would like to clarify that, as you already know, it is all happening now. And that when you are projecting yourself into what you see as a past timeline or projecting yourself into what you imagine is a future timeline, you are siphoning power away from the now timeline that you are always on. It can be a powerful illusion that draws you into the past in a linear sense by siphoning off energy from your now, or pulls you into the future in a linear sense by also siphoning off power from your now. That illusion that timelines are linear and that there is one, and that you are somehow beholden to the future or belonging to the past, is a powerful illusion of the third dimension. We are here to help you understand that once you shatter that glass, once you crack that illusion, you can multiply the agency and the energy that you bring to your now moment, to your only timeline, to your present experience by a percentage of, we would say, a vibrational frequency range of at least 20,000 cycles per second up. How exciting! Especially when you are getting to the fringes of the vibration for open contact. So if we are talking in the range of 20,000 cycles per second up, we are talking around something from 160,000 to 180,000 cycles per second vibrational increase just by learning how to stay in the now moment. So why is this illusion so powerful in the third, moving into the fourth dimension? The illusion is powerful because you have had to create, through your ego mind, a narrative and a personality in order to bring yourself to certain experiences through which you can expand. And in that sense, the narrative, the storyline has been important. You like to see yourself as a culmination of events, as a being that has moved through experiences and through time, and as a being that is going in a specific direction where you will one day arrive somehow complete. And that illusion is missing some important components of information. The most important being that you are always existing and eternal. There is you on other timelines in what you would consider your past. There is you on other timelines in what you would consider your future. But the version of you that you should be most concerned with is the one that is on this timeline now. How can you hold on to the version of you in this timeline now? It is simple. Everybody, take a deep breath. Feel the oxygen flood your mind. Release. That being that has just had the oxygen flood their body, the heart thump, thump, the neurochemical response to the idea of staying present even for one breath, that is the being that you are concerned with. That is the being that is always on the now timeline. It can be confusing when you understand that you have counterparts, when you understand that you are multidimensional and there are other versions of you on other timelines. But the original idea of the multiplicity of time-space reality was that every being helped every other being, not that beings would get trapped in quote unquote linear time. That is not possible. So what we would ask you to do when you reflect on events that you see as your past that cause you to have feelings of regret, guilt, or remorse is to recognize that they are other people on other timelines and they are the preoccupation of other beings. When you start to have negative imaginings about all of the potential futures, timelines that you might walk on, recognize that they are already happening to other beings who are already there, and that is not your concern. The idea of imagining yourself elsewhere was a powerful tool of manifestation. By visualizing, and there has been many teachers on your planet who have taught you the art of visualization, by visualizing your preferred state of being, your preferred experience, it helps to manifest that on your timeline now. But don't get caught up in thinking that at any point you lock yourself into or you imprison yourself in a future that you cannot change in a heartbeat, in a literal heartbeat. Therefore, we would ask you to, a couple of times a day, just stop, just breathe, one breath, and as you breathe in, ask yourself, where am I? And as you breathe out, say, here now, here now. And even 3 times a day will accelerate your vibration significantly because you have pulled back all of the dispersed and fractured energies that you are sending off to counterparts in other timelines that are not you. They don't need your energy anyway. The person who makes the most use of it is you on this timeline now. We hope that this helps in times of much chaos and fracturing of timelines and splintering of realities, for you to hold on to yourself and for you to amplify your energy and your vibrational frequency range rather than siphon it off to things that may never happen. If there are any questions, we would be pleased to take.
I have a question.
Yes.
So each moment when we pulse into being, is that a new timeline?
Yes, it is a new timeline at every moment. We can give you an example, if you can imagine, to transition out of this reality, to die, as you like to refer to it. It takes but 1 millisecond. You jump from one timeline to another totally different timeline, another totally different moment. You can recognize the significance of that jump. You have transitioned out of this reality and into another reality in a heartbeat, in a literal heartbeat, or lack thereof. However, when you are jumping and shifting through timelines at the billions of times per second that you are in this now moment, it's harder to recognize. And we do understand that that transition that you are making every moment is harder to recognize in your physical reality for a reason. the narrative and the storyline has been applied through your ego mind, through your personality to this time-space reality, because it assists you in your great adventure, in your great unfolding, in your always expanding. However, the time for that fixed prism through which you view reality is now passing. You are really starting to understand that you are an eternal being with multiple versions of yourself, all on your powerful now timelines. You are really starting to grasp that concept. And the more you are able to grasp it, the more powerful you will become. Because by allowing yourself to recognize that the ideas you have of yourself in the future and the past both exist and do not exist at the same time, you pull all your power back into the now. You exist here in your fullest capacity that you can ever exist in. And that is a liberating thought. We understand that it may take some time for this to sink in. And of course, as you are transitioning from fourth to fifth dimension, it does take a certain amount of restructuring of your thinking and allowing for you to hold on to an infrastructure of belief systems also. We don't ask you to discard the narrative entirely because it does still serve you in many ways. It helps you in the unfolding of your relationships. It helps you in the story of your learnings and your experience. But we just ask you to recognize that you should keep what serves you and discard what binds you, because it is not relevant for your expansion to hold on to low vibrational feelings of regret, remorse, and guilt, or to imprison yourself in negative future imaginings. Shake that off and allow yourself to step into the now where it serves you. It is an exciting potential unfolding.
Zariyah, is that new person have a new past and a new future in that new instant? And actually, are they new physically as well?
Every moment you are connecting yourself to a past. You are connecting yourself to a future. In a sense, all of the pasts that you could connect yourself to are both real and not real in your now moment. And all of the futures you could connect yourself to are real and not real. You see, it's a choice. You can reflect on a timeline that you are calling your past and that you are connecting to you and that you are allowing to hold you or shape you in some way as a positive experience, or you can disconnect from that as something that happened to someone else. We don't want you to disassociate from events that are real and from events that have inspired your growth. We just want you to recognize that you are multidimensional. It isn't one stream of events that has led to your now and one future that you have to choose. No, there are multiple paths for all of you, not just in terms of you, the personality, but in terms of you and your counterparts, and in terms of you and the multiple universe theories, and in terms of you and all your galactic brethren. The amount of pasts that you can connect to is literally limitless. How exciting. What would you like your past to be today? Does that make sense, or is that too much choice?
Absolutely. Yes, no, it's very powerful. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Is there any other questions?
Yes, thank you, Zariyah. I have a question about the Greys changes that they did to the human race after the Anunnaki had their stab at it.
Yes.
Can you enlighten me a little bit on that, please?
Yes. The intervention of the Anunnaki was, in a sense, an aberration in terms of all of the agreements that are made in the Interstellar Alliance. The Anunnaki intervened in ways that perhaps they were not supposed to. Although, of course, everything happens for a reason, and look where we are now. Thank goodness they did. However, at that time, after their intervention, they did have a responsibility to chaperone the human race to some extent, to help them to become more of who they really are. And in a sense, we can liken that to the birth of AI on the planet. So there is a feeling that those who have birthed AI, that they have possibly birthed something that will grow outside of their control, that will expand outside of their control. The Anunnaki then had a role in guiding the human race and its development. And that is where we saw the advent of what we have already discussed with you, called the Elohim on the planet. They were interpreted as gods or angels, but in fact they were guiding groups of Anunnaki. After the period of guidance had ended and human beings had ascended to a point in which they could steer their own ship, for want of a better word, the Anunnaki and their guides left in terms of their physical presence on Earth. And that is what created for the human race the great wound of abandonment. The idea that the gods had gone, that the human race was alone, and that there would be a quote unquote second coming, that they would come back. However, the intervention of the Greys is an entirely different project. The species that you understand to be the Greys followed a path not dissimilar to the evolution of the human species on Earth. They amplified their capabilities in terms of their mental, acute capabilities and their technology. They pushed their civilization further through science and technology. They pushed themselves further through understanding the capabilities of the mind and the intellect. They developed many advanced technologies, and they understood much about the fabric of the universe that is not accessible to Homo sapiens at this time yet, although it will be. But in this endeavor, they disconnected from what you would understand as the life force energy of Gaia. They disconnected from the natural environment, from the natural world. And of course, the natural world is the gateway to the longevity of the species and, to an extent, your spiritual awakening. In that sense, you have the figure Lilith. Lilith was driven, or the metaphor of Lilith was driven out of the Garden of Eden, and she is the great force of creatrix of all of the universe. You have this represented in other forms such as Kali, such as Gaia, such as Sophia, all of these forms of the feminine that is chaos, that is not able to be controlled by the intellect or technology, is the force of life, is the force of evolution. And the Greys had diminished their relationship with that force, and therefore they realized that their species would no longer continue. In that realization, they took great measures. They channeled all of their scientific knowledge and their metaphysical knowledge into generating a program that would ensure the advancement of their species. This was through creating wormholes into other realities, and through those wormholes making agreements with other beings to create hybrid races, of which there are now 5, and the human race will become the 6th. So many people on your planet do have recollection of participating in hybrid programs. Those recollections have been suppressed in collective consciousness, and for that reason, there are many beings on your planet who have fear when they think of the Greys. But there is no cause for fear. The Greys have upgraded the potential of the Homo sapiens on the planet so that they can become the sixth hybrid race and they can join the Interstellar Alliance. Therefore, you have two significant upgrade programs on your planet. One was the hominoid to the Homo sapien, facilitated by the Anunnaki, who intervened almost in contradiction to the rules of the Interstellar Alliance. Naughty, naughty Anunnaki. And then you have the intervention of the Greys, who are upgrading the Homo sapien to the sixth hybrid race and Homo galacticus. How exciting. You are all, every person here in this transmission, a part of the hybrid program. Does that scare you or does that thrill you?
I'm thrilled. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Is there any other questions?
Yes, hi. So wow, that was a really beautiful segue into what I wanted to ask.
Yes.
And it's literally exactly about what you just said. So I don't know if this is the right term for the hybrid that you were saying. Anyway, they were in my mind like called star seeds. And yeah, I was hoping you could talk about that. So just for a little bit of context, like I had my birth chart read. There's a lot of starseed markings in it. Went down a mini rabbit hole about, trying to figure out, what all of it means, and I'm still very much in progress of that. But kind of what I got is that, there are beings that answered a call for help from Gaia, and they came to fulfill a certain mission. So I'd love to hear you speak anything about that, and any tips on figuring out what that mission is as well would be great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, so the idea of star seeds is another language around the same concepts that we are talking about here. And you are referring to a couple of things underneath that umbrella of star seeds. You have intuitions about counterparts. These counterparts can be in different galaxies and parts of different civilizations. Everybody in this group has counterparts from various star civilizations. They can be anything from Andromeda Galaxy to the Orion system to Sirius, Pleiades, Cassiopeia, and the list goes on. Many of you have counterparts in more than one of these systems. In fact, many of you have counterparts in several. So when there is an inclination to say, as a human being, that you come from or you are a starseed from another galaxy, that is in fact more limiting than what the reality is. You are all Homo sapiens. You come from Earth, but you have counterparts on other timelines that are in different civilizations, and they are representations of other versions of you that come under the same oversoul. We don't want to make things too complicated, but we do know family is always quite complicated. So in that sense, you have relationships that are coming into your awareness, whether that be through strange feelings, through nostalgia, through curious connections. You are starting to realize that you have resonance with different star systems, and that is you connecting to counterparts in those star systems. You also have human counterparts on Earth, on other timelines, from what you would consider different periods. You are also connecting to them, and that is why we talk today about different histories leading to your now, because it's not just linear histories that you would consider in your lifespan. It is histories of your counterparts through many different periods of time or on different timelines. So you have that also coming into the fracas. And then you also have your participation in hybrid programs, which is essentially the donation of DNA into the creation of hybrid children. Many of the people in this group have hybrid children. We don't want to scare you. You don't have to pay any paternity. However, many of you have a significant amount of hybrid children. The collective amount of hybrid children for this group is over 140. How exciting. Your participation in that program has been the donation of genetic matter and material, and that has happened through initially what we would describe as abductions, but more recently, and for most of the people in this group, it has happened in the dreamscape and also during childhood by agreement. Nothing so intrusive as an abduction. The Greys have learned that the human capacity for feeling is great, and it's better not to scare them. Does that help?
Yes. Okay, so follow-up question. What if, okay, so say some counterparts, let's say there's someone that has more counterparts not on Earth, and they're not
Yes.
finding their experience on Earth easy.
Yes.
Is there anything that can be done to ease that process, or any kind of words of wisdom that you would have for that?
Yes, we understand that the experience of coming into awareness of all of this, the reality that you have connections all over the galaxy, that time is fluid, that universes are multiple, that you have been creating other beings in the hybrid program, that you yourself are part of an oversoul that has many different expressions across many different timelines. That is a lot to take in. And we understand that as you are trying to fold in that information, it can seem difficult. But this is the party that you came for. Let me tell you that there are beings on other timelines of what you would consider Earth, in what you would consider the past 13,000 years, who have been asleep to this knowledge. And if they could wake up to it and jump to where you are now, they would do it at a moment's notice. You are on the precipice of deep awakening. If you can imagine that, you are going to go from someone who feels like they are confused on planet Earth to someone who has the capacity to communicate intergalactically and across time and space, and across what you would call the history and future. How exciting. Don't beat yourself up if you feel that you are having a bit of a rough ride. It is, if you can imagine, like a ghost train. You get on and you don't know what to expect. There are things that jump out at you and perhaps scare you, but remember, it's only a ride. You're going to get off at some point, and the first thing you will do when you get off is say, I want it. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You are so welcome. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
On Earth, a lot of people pray to God when
Yes.
they want something, they're asking for help, and sometimes they feel like they've gotten answers.
Yes.
Are they praying to Source, or is it the Oversoul, or a guardian angel, or higher self, or who is it that hears these prayers and answers?
Yes. It is important to understand, and when we say that the Anunnaki and various extraterrestrial species did appear on Earth, that is not to say there is no God in the sense that we understand it, the sense that there is Source, that there is the realm of the divine, that the angelic realm also exists. When we referred to the 12 strands of DNA and the 12 dimensions, you will also note that there are 12 archangels. and that those archangels are representative of the 12 fractals of Source. We would encourage you to have a look at the Kabbalah in the Jewish Tree of Life, the 12 branches of the Tree of Life, which take you to Source. There is such a thing as the divine, and we only ask that human beings start to awaken to the fact that it is not something higher than you that you need to worship, but that it is something embedded deep in every cell of your body. And that when you pray, you are praying to the better angels of your nature. You are asking for the divine in yourself to reveal itself to you in a way that encompasses more of what you're feeling, and in a way that helps you to manifest the miracles that you are looking for. The divine is the creative potential of the universe. It is the unutterable name of God. It is the light that surrounds you, as your John Lennon said, like 1,000 suns. Source exists, and when you pray and you speak with Source, it lives inside you in a more articulated way. Does that help?
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Hello. Zariyah, I was wondering, how can we interpret our dreams? Is there a
Yes.
way where we can, make some sense about what had exactly happened in the dream and implement it?
Yes, in the dream state, what you are, generally speaking, as a collective, going through is a process incrementally of remembering more and starting to understand that you are transitioning from one reality to another. Much like we gave you the example of transitioning in one moment from physical to non-physical, or what you would consider life to death, or what we would better describe as fourth dimension to fifth dimension, matter to energy. You are making for yourself an example of that transition every time you wake from the dream reality into your physical reality and back again. Every time you slip from your physical reality into your dream reality. Many people are noticing that they are now waking up with clearer memories, with stronger carryover. They are able to recall with greater clarity how things have unfolded in the other reality. There is a blending going on, a merging going on. And this is a great tool to help you recognize that realities and timelines merge and blend, and you jump between them all the time. At this moment, what we would encourage you to do is to recall as much as you can, and don't try to make it fit your physical reality. Don't try to make a linear story out of it like your ego mind does in your physical reality. That is what your personality does in this reality. But in the dream state, you are much more abstract. You are much more in energy form. You are traveling through astral opportunities. Don't try to make it fit necessarily a linear timeline or a logical narrative. The story doesn't have to have a beginning and a middle and an end just yet. Allow it to be enough that you can recall jumping from one reality to the next, and that you are strengthening that ability every time you wake and every time you fall asleep again.
Okay. In the same lines, how do I interpret my intuitions? So, like, is it my the chattering mind, or is it an intuition? And which should I consider? How do I get that clarity and act on it?
Your intuition comes from your solar plexus. If you have a feeling, a nudge, a knowing, a voice that comes from your solar plexus, through your heart chakra into your physical mind. That is your intuition. And your intuition is the physical translation of your higher self, of your higher mind. So you can imagine your higher mind connecting to your solar plexus and up to your physical mind. Your physical mind is the chatterbox that keeps going and going and going, like an energizer bunny. If you can focus on where the noise is coming from, if it's coming from your mind, then it is not your intuition. If it is a slower, deeper, more metronome-like feeling coming from your solar plexus, then you can be sure that is your intuition. But as we speak with you now, Sumia, we are getting a very strong sense that you know this. We are actually feeling what it is like to feel your intuition. And it is very strong and quite undeniable. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, if you could read my energy now and tell me what's my vibration right now.
Yes. We are sensing that you had a trip that has, for want of a better description, filled out some of the more porous holes in your aura. What we can see is a very fresh and vibrant aura that is really vibrating very high in terms of the way you have been training yourself to focus. We would encourage you to keep following your intuition when it comes to taking trips such as this and meeting with like-minded people and feeling through the conversation and the flow of ritual and the flow of events and the deliberate connecting with source energy that your vibration is rising. We can see that at this exact moment, you are vibrating at 182,000 cycles per second. Woo, how exciting.
Really
So close
exciting.
to contact now.
All right. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Liz, would you like to go?
Oh, yeah. So, I just want to know, I've been having like recurring dream about a young boy energy, like a baby boy or a son kind of energy. I just want to know if
Yes.
it's something to do with my deeper like desire, or is it that something that's coming in the future?
Yes. You have the energy of a number of young beings around you. We are seeing that you indeed have hybrid children, that you are indeed likely to meet them on the timeline that you are on. The probability of that is quite high. We also see that there is an energy coming forward that would like to move into a physical state. However, there are some steps that you can take to progress that timeline if that was something that you wanted. The ball is in your court, and the soul senses that. There is always potentials, and there is the knowing and the recognition of your physical self on your path, whether that potential is the right one for you to expand into. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You are so welcome. If there are no further questions, we will.
Christina has another question.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't know we could ask for energy readings. So I apologize in advance if this gets really dark in terms of like the kind of energy or karmic knot it is. But I would love for you, because I recently ended a relationship with somebody. Well, maybe not so recently, but anyway, processing that. I would love any insight around like what that was. It was definitely a karmic connection, but I've been trying to figure out kind of like the meaning around it. If there's any guidance that you can see, would absolutely love it.
Yes, one moment. Yes, we can see that there is a union that has taken place. We will preface this by the understanding that we are always somewhat blown away by the focus that human beings have on your planet for romantic and passionate union. The civilization that I come from, this is something that we are not so focused on. However, understanding that the beings on your planet are very excited by these possibilities, we do see that there is an uptick in your vibration, particularly of excitement when this union did unfold. We encourage you to understand that every time that you entangle with someone else, it is an opportunity for you to provide a reflection and to be the recipient of a reflection of how you can know yourself even more. Relationships are really about your own individual expansion, and they often work, and by work we mean have longevity in one sense, when both parties are open to the idea that they are mutual mirrors in a journey of ongoing expansion. However, there can also be unions that are very intense and that provide reflections that can glare a little, and that you have to then separate in order to process the reflection that you were exposed to and the reflection that you allowed someone else to be exposed to. Relationships that can last hours, days, or weeks can provide enough food for thought and possibility of expansion for months, weeks, or years. We would encourage you to recognize that every entanglement serves you. Every relationship serves you. And if there is a sense of clinging on to, hanging on to some part of that, you can release that by recognizing, really investigating where and how it served. There is not an experience that you have had on any timeline in any universe that has not served you. There is not an experience you have had with an animal, with a star, with another person, with a plate of food that hasn't shown you more of who you really are. If you approach relationships in that way, you will find that you will escalate your expansion no end. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And spot on. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Thank you so much, Zariyah, for this wonderful session. We are all done with our questions.
We thank you for taking the time to join with us for this transmission, and we bid you good day.
Thank you. Thank you so
Sorry.
much
Thank you, Ash.
for the
Sometimes I
wonderful,
feel like my
wonderful
shoulders are like
session.
up here. I can't seem to put them, I just have to relax. Do they look really high when I'm speaking?
Yeah.
No, just
No.
must be.
All good.
I feel
Do
like I
you
have
remember what she said?
no, it's like I'm trying to follow it when it's coming out, but it's more like I'm trying to arrange keep up with the concepts, you know what I mean? So then just focusing on keeping up with the concepts, I tend not to actually understand, you know, because I'm not listening. I'm just like, I feel like I'm running behind the cart, you know what I mean? But I think I get downloads before, you know, like kind of themes before the transmission, which is really great. It helps me so much. I always find it just like it's another way of expanding. I feel really lucky to be able to do it, you know.
Yeah, because the topics you're choosing are like wonderful, the way they are coming up right now.
How do you come
Yeah.
up with
Beautiful.
topics?
I just start to, like, hopefully by Tuesday or something, I just start to tune in, and I just like wait if there's something, and then she just kind of drops an idea, you know. And the excellent part is it's usually something that I need to learn about. So it's just like it's right on cue for me to understand something, you know, which I really appreciate. And I think if I didn't have these sessions, you know, there would not be that opportunity for me to learn. So it's really it's bizarre, hey? It's bizarre how it all, you know, slots
It's
in like that.
much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. I'm really grateful for that, you know. And now
Ash,
I've
do
got the
you
microphone.
do